conversation today. Good morning, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Caroline and I are here today to talk about real estate, the real estate market, buying or selling, and we're going to jump right in head first. So, Caroline, how is it? Can we buy homes in the middle of COVID-19?
Yes, it's completely possible to purchase a home right now.
Give me some of the first steps. If I'm thinking about purchasing a home, what should I do? Should I look first? Should I get a realtor? How do I even know I can do it? How do I know I can afford it? I've got a great job. I don't have the best credit. How do I know I can do it?
Your first step's always going to be to start with a lender. You want to reach out to a lender to get qualified and find out how much home you can afford. If you are reaching out to an agent first, that's okay. Your agent can guide you into the direction of a lender that'll be good and suitable for you. And there's a lot of misconception that you're having to bring a lot of cash up front, where we have options to even get, bond programs and seller concessions and things like that to help with the overall cost.
So, Caroline, when you say a lender, what am I? Am I going to my own bank? What if I don't really have a banking relationship? Are you able to tell me who I should talk to?
Absolutely. The one of the biggest things is that I don't necessarily feel that going to your own personal bank is a benefit for you if you have a relationship. But if you not have a relationship with your lender or with your bank, going with somebody like a standard mortgage lender is something that's a little bit easier to deal with, because their products focus directly on mortgage lending only for home buying purposes. Regular banks, your go-to staples in the community, will kind of have a lot of other products that are meant for stocks and bonds and things that don't necessarily focus on real estate. So you get a lot of better options in a regular lender.
Let's just say I don't have perfect credit. What is that going to mean? Sometimes it's kind of embarrassing to have to go over all of your financial position. And so are there people that you can tell me, or your realtor, as realtors, we can kind of guide our customers, and who can I talk to about that?
I mean, you're always going to want to go back to your lender on the loan process, but your agent should be aware of the guidelines that most lenders abide by as far as credit goes. Each kind of product that they carry, conventional loan, FHA, or VA, will all carry a different credit requirement. It'll all carry a different interest rate. So you really want to just kind of sit down with your lenders and go over that. If you're running with a credit of about 600 or higher, you're typically going to be eligible to purchase a home. It'll depend on your debt to income ratio, on how much they'll be willing to give you. So it kind of works on like a scale system for your income, your debt to income ratio, and what they'll give you.
And they're going to explain all that. Not to mention you as my realtor, or everybody can answer those questions so that we know. We don't have to ask what we consider to be a stupid question. There is no stupid question when it comes to home buying.
No, not in this industry.
Nobody just wakes up one day and knows how to buy a home. We're just all after that American dream. And trust me, everybody, I know Caroline is the guru of real estate, so I even come to her after about a year of experience for several of my questions to be answered so that we can service everybody. So today, I kind of want to come at it as if I'm you, ready to buy a home. I really haven't done it. I don't have a lot of experience. We're in the middle of this crazy time in our lives where nobody really knows what's going on. So I kind of want to come at you today as if I am a buyer, and I'm saying, well, heck, I've got a great job. My credit is good, or maybe not so great. Should I start looking? Should I spend days and days and weeks on Zillow? I'm thinking not so much, because our real estate climate, especially in Orlando and around Orlando, is pretty fast moving.
Mm-hmm.
And despite all the COVID-19, it's growing.
It is.
It's on the rise. It's on the move. Tell us a little bit more about that,
Well,
if
if
you
you
would.
jump into it early, you're going to end up disappointing yourself if you go in without knowing how much you're going to be able to afford. You really kind of want to narrow down what you want in a home, where you want to be, and the reasons why you want that. Because honestly, when you start looking in advance, you don't know what you're going to afford, and then you will have homes that disappear on you that you wish you could have gotten. And there's going to be enough of that going on during the transaction itself, because no matter what happens in this industry, you'll put an offer on the table. It'll either get accepted or not accepted. Either something will happen in that transaction and we'll lose the home, or you may not even get your contract picked. So, you're going to run into some stumbling blocks here and there through the entire process. So why start yourself off with disappointment?
Oh, that's very well said. And I know in my experience also with some of my wonderful customers, that's happened. We've been prepared to go in to see a home and already have the offer ready, and there's already multiple offers on the table. So speaking to that, and you and I were talking about this earlier when we were getting ready for this. Interestingly enough, if you're going to buy, you need to be ready. They actually can, and you can confirm for me that it's going to take a little longer, 30, maybe 45 days, depending on which loan type. But you need to be prepared to move and move that day.
Yeah. If you're making the decision to buy a home, you need to be firm in that decision, because as soon as we start making moves towards the end goal for you, it's going to be, I need to know right now whether we're pulling the trigger on this contract. And as soon as we're in contract, we're going to have to pull trigger on everything else that needs to happen to get to that closing table.
Yeah, and let's talk about that closing table. So let's just say we go in and you've listened to everything I want and everything I need, and I know you're guiding me, and you're not going to let me pay too much. You're not going to let me really spend a lot, depending on our budget, because we will have gone over that. When it gets to the closing table, when you're about to be a home buyer, all you hear are these commercials about closing costs, closing costs, closing costs. What does that mean? Like, what all do I have to pay?
A lot. The reality is that buying a home does come with some expense. Mostly it's going to be in your lender fees. But you will have, there are multiple people who are working in coherence to get you to that closing table. So your title company, your lender, your agent, the agent's broker, all of them are going to be adding a little bit to that total ending closing costs. Recording fees, don't get away with, the county will still get their money as well. So you have recording fees, your lender fees, your agent fees, your broker fees, your title fees, and all of that adds up. Now we do have some ways, like I said before, to have like maybe seller concessions to help with that. But that's not always a guarantee. So I always like to prepare everybody in advance to go ahead and get their mind wrapped around having that money up front, having that money saved, because regardless, even if you have a cushion that you don't use, you have that cushion. So that if anything happens down the line, or everybody forgets the fact that you have moving in expenses as well, same as if you would have as a rental, you're going to have to turn your power on, you're going to have to turn your water on, you're going to have to move, there's going to be a moving truck. So there's going to be a lot of different expenses that go into it after you even close. So keep the cushion. Just make sure you're prepared for whether you have to pay all your closing costs, some of your closing costs, or none of your closing costs.
We need a jingle in our pocket.
Yep.
That is for sure.
Yep.
Okay. And so we were talking a little bit about COVID-19, and absolutely buying a home, selling a home is possible in the middle of COVID-19. So in your brokerage, you follow all the safety precautions. We're still able to go and have tours into homes?
Absolutely. I mean, I think there's a lot of nervousness, obviously, because there's a lot of uncertainty with what's going on currently. But there are ways that we as agents are taking those steps to make sure that on our way in, we're stopping you at the door, making sure we're hand sanitizing you. We're always making sure you're wearing a mask. As a courtesy, sometimes you'll see where people will have the shoe coverings to make sure you're not trekking something into the home. I do know a lot of people that will prefer to show vacant homes and would, as a seller, prefer to sell a home as a vacant home rather than being present. So that's something that's a little bit more challenging and changing in the industry. But also, some companies are moving to a virtual tour. So you'll end up with the ability to see the home on your computer without having to actually be in the home, even though buying a home is much like getting, a new pair of pants or a new blouse. You want to try it on and make sure that it fits right. In these times, it gets a little questionable. Everybody's getting more used to shopping online. It is a big purchase idea, but if it's something that maybe you can have your agent walk you through the tour, virtually, where they're in the home doing a video recording of it, and so you can still get to really see the inside and have somebody else truly give you the feel of what it is, maybe the smell, the area, whatever it is. But you definitely have options at this point to see the home without actually having to be present every time.
We know that if you are somebody, much like myself, want to see it, touch it, feel it, and it is the biggest, most expensive purchase of your life, then that absolutely can be done in our current environment. It's going to be done, and we'll do safety first, and that's part of our jobs as realtors. Yeah. So we'll take care of you. So what about that thing? Do I have to have a home inspection when I buy a home?
With the whole idea of buying a home online, I think the inspection is more important now than ever.
Paramount.
Especially if you're going to be doing this without actually seeing the home itself, then yeah, you're going to have to pay exceptional detailed attention to the inspection and the inspection report. There's a lot that goes into inspections, and I think later in one of the future podcasts, we'll have an inspector here with us to be able to go over a lot of what they look for in an inspection. But, yes, inspection is definitely important. Even if you're a cash buyer, I would recommend doing an inspection because you just still want to know what you're getting into. Just like buying a car, buying anything else, you want to know what you're getting into. So yeah, I would recommend always and forever getting an inspection.
And what about termites? Since we're in the state of Florida, how do you feel about that? I personally believe that we should all know about that because we are such a water state. We're surrounded by water. But how do you feel about that? Because I know that's a little additional expense to your home inspection, albeit worth every penny.
Yeah. And if there's an inspection that can be done in the state of Florida or in any state, honestly, I would recommend getting it done. There's different types of inspections between slab inspections, termite inspections, sewer,
septic tank.
Thank you.
Well, and when you get over into Volusia County, which has become my niche, everybody has septic and well. Yep. Very rarely do. And you need to have inspectors or a realtor that can engage in that understands all that. Those are big ticket items, much like replacing a roof. Yeah. That is a huge item. So not to worry, that's kind of what we do. Again, we're here to answer all that. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about who you are. Yeah, and your background. And by the way, I do think she's a mentor extraordinaire. So, Caroline, who are you? I think that you are the bomb when it comes to real estate. So, tell us a little about you.
Okay, I mean the long history or the short history?
Oh boy, give it to us. Give it to us real.
No, we'll summarize. I'm originally a New Yorker. I'm definitely not a native Floridian, so it's getting used to this. Yeah, I know. There's a handful of.
She told me that
Floridians.
Yesterday.
Okay,
sorry.
That's how it's said. Okay. I moved here when I was probably about 10 years old, so I've been in Florida for an extraordinarily long time, but I still do love and miss New York, regardless of what anybody says. I am a New Yorker at heart. But I actually did not ever start in real estate. I started out as a bartender way back when.
What?
I've done about 15 years as a bartender. I've done between bartending and retail sales. I've had a lot of experience with a lot of customers and clients and things of that nature. I went from bartending and retail sales into title processing, which is part of the overall real estate experience that you'll get to enjoy when you're doing a home sale or purchase. And in that, I spent about 3 or 4 years doing title processing. Kind of grew out of that into doing notary signings, and was kind of, doing both sides of it, just learning everything I could from the inside out on this industry. But in 2008, everybody's familiar with the 2008 crash.
Oh boy.
The 2008 crash eliminated that position for me, so it threw me back into the grips of bartending and restaurant life. Going back to that from doing a desk job is definitely a challenge for sure. So that kind of motivated me to go ahead and get my real estate license. I kind of knew how to do title work from the backside, so I figured, well, what's the difference? I know how to do their paperwork. I could do their sales too. So I started doing the sales, but that still wasn't giving me everything I wanted. So I switched over to doing mentoring as well.
Whoop whoop.
I like the end result of making sure that everybody knows what they need to know to get to the end goal. I've always been a trainer, no matter where I've worked, retail, bar, restaurant, anywhere I worked. So I'm always good at being a trainer, because that's just kind of my favorite thing, giving everybody that knowledge.
Yes, I know. I'm in her phone contacts as a mentee. I don't know if I'm ever going to graduate. I hope so, but maybe not.
I'm not sure how she has my phone.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
I've just seen it. I've switched over, and I've seen it a few times.
Get out
and
of
I'm
my
like, you better
phone.
take me off that. You better give me a new title.
So I felt like this was the next natural step, is to go ahead and start a brokerage where I can focus solely on making sure the agents get what they need to make this industry better than it's been.
And I'm going to have to add to this, because I now have been right with you. Such a journey, such a rewarding journey to have somebody choose you in this very important decision. And it's an honor. We want to provide stellar customer service.
Mm-hmm.
And all that being said, there's a lot of, it's hard. It's hard to know what to do, how to do it. And that's where we come in to guide the process.
Oh, yeah.
To make sure before you even have a question about, let's say you're purchasing your first home, what is that question? And we've already answered it.
Mm-hmm.
So that you've guided that person. And Caroline says to me, this is where passion and purpose meet. And we have such a passion about our purpose, and we want to serve our clients. There's a lot of folks out there that are licensed realtors. I mean, there's about 15,000 of us in and around Orlando. So you have a ton of choices. But choosing a realtor is much like choosing a life partner or a business partner. It is very important. You need to have someone that you gel with, someone that is communicative. And that's kind of the things that we do best. She says I talk too much, but I would beg to differ.
Gotten 30 seconds in edgewise.
I'm not getting the time. Your time out. Your time is up. Anyway, any more to add, Caroline, about what your purpose is and what we're doing here?
No, I mean, I think we kind of have the same values, and that's kind of how we aligned, is what we saw the opportunity to improve the industry and make things better, be more honest and give more information, and make the process easy and comprehensive for most buyers and or sellers, depending on what you're doing. There's a better way to do real estate, and a more understandable way to make it so where the client doesn't feel like the world is crushing in on them and they have to just dish out all this money. It's going to come with a cost, yes, but it's gonna be an easy process if you have the right team on your side to do the job. So
it is the dream, and we can get you there for sure.
It is. And in that respect, I'm curious, what really made you want to get into all this? Like, where did your origin story? Give the world a little love about you.
Well, I am a Florida native, and I'm from a little town out in East Orlando called Christmas. It's not just a holiday, it's actually a place.
Oh, she's a present.
Yeah.
Okay. She was the gift.
Back in the day, and I am so young. I know, no, it doesn't look like I am, but I'm so young. Back in the day, it was orange groves and cattle pastures. And today, in today's environment, it has changed so much, but it's still a great place to visit and mail your cards, your holiday cards.
Mm-hmm.
But I, in 1986, became a weekend leasing consultant for a local property management company right here in Orlando. And I loved it. I thought there was a lot of purpose in helping somebody choose their home. It didn't matter if they were buying or just its temporary home. It mattered to me that they had to trust me to be able to do that. You weren't just buying that apartment. You were buying me, and I had a duty to, and I was obligated to you in deference to that. So when I decided, when I turned 50 and decided to have a reinvention intervention, I saw the marriage between property management, multifamily apartments, and real estate being an easy transition. I love it. I think that there's a lot to be said for it's very rewarding to take somebody through that process and to turn over keys to their dream home, to where they're going to live their life. And that matters to me. That is vital to me, that they're happy, that they've had a great customer experience, that I've given them all the information and then some, and that we have a little fun doing it. you know, it gets to be so much. There's so much that, again, we don't wake up in the morning and just know how to buy a house and what is doc stamps and who's lender and who am I going to get and will I even qualify? No, you need somebody that you can trust and that's easy to talk to, that you can say anything to. This is the most important, expensive decision of your life. You gotta want to work with me and Caroline. We love what we do.
Mm-hmm.
It
Reward over
is
profit.
where passion and purpose
Mm-hmm.
meet. That's who I am. Just a little something.
In a nutshell.
In a
Or
nutshell.
a gift package from Christmas, Florida.
A cow patty.
That's great.
Anyway, we're gonna adjunct into, let's say you're going to sell your home, and if you've been considering it, or if maybe you're finding yourself needing to sell your home, we're just going to touch on this for a little bit because I know this is going to be in one of our series. But listen, tell us about the real estate environment when it comes to selling your home.
For the selling side, it's more about being mentally prepared for what's to come, making sure that they have the tools in place to be able to sell the home without having to stress about who's entering the home. So different types of showing options, different types of listing options for the owners. Trying to get the value from your home and still making a profit. I mean, there's a lot that needs to be mentally prepared for on the seller side. And like I said, we'll definitely break it down more in the next couple episodes. But, as a seller, there's no shame if something's going on in life that requires a downsize. Our goal is to make sure that you still have a future as a seller. And if you're in a hard situation, selling your home now versus a foreclosure is going to save you in the long run. You can't purchase a home for 7 years after you foreclose. There's a lot of hurdles that you'll have to overcome if you have to get to that point. So we want to jump in and help you where we can in getting you prepared to get to the next level in life.
And let's just say that we're now deciding that we want to downsize. We want to cut some of our expenses.
Mhm.
Um, are are open houses still happening in the middle of this COVID-19? Like, how would a realtor want to market our home?
We were discussing before, there's a lot of virtual tours, and we can do open houses where it's online an open house. Again, with the agent in the home, still doing the walk around tours and giving kind of a general overall feed to a general population to be able to see it. We're still being able to do the social distancing and letting people in one by one. We usually try and make sure that there's only one or two groups in the home and are on opposite sides of the home if they're viewing it. So we're being very careful and cautious. I've had people come in and sanitize after we leave the home to make sure it's ready for the next showing.
Sanitize.
We can't do it. Somebody else's slogan.
But we do all those things.
We do.
And how do you come up with, let's just say I want to sell my home. How do you come up with how to price it in this really fast market? Because it is a fast market. If you're going to sell, you better know where you're going.
It is. And there's a lot of, it depends on how urgently you need to get out of your home. If it's priced well, if it's priced under where the value is in the neighborhood, you're going to get a lot of interest in that property because everybody's going to want a bite of that. And you actually might be able to do yourself a little bit better by doing that because people will put more money into it thinking they're getting such a great value and all of that. And they very well could be getting a great value in the home. But you want to kind of price it right. And we do kind of estimate based on what the previous sales are in that neighborhood, which ones are on the market currently versus, the ones that are pending. And we kind of estimate where they would have, put their offer in at to kind of get to an estimate. But at the end of the day, no matter what we as agents do, if we know what we're doing and we're pricing it as close to properly as possible, at the end of the day, there's still an appraisal that has to come into play. And the appraiser is going to come in and give their estimates just like we will, but theirs is more official. And at the end of the day, we'll have to appraise in order for, if you're using a loan, for the loan to be able to close at that price. And then there's some kickback back and forth depending on the appraisal price, whether it's over or under.
Okay, so when I call, let's say I call you and I say I want to list my house, you come in, you meet with me, and then we have an honest discussion about what it's going to take to sell your home at the highest and best price.
Of course.
And sometimes I bet those conversations are not so easy, or you just give recommendations about, let's say, curb appeal. But what if I were honest and I say to you, listen, I know that, by example, I have a pool and my pool should be refinished. Then how are you going to take that into consideration, and what would you tell me at that point?
I would recommend that, especially if there's something that that needs work on the home, whether a pool, roof, exterior paint job, whatever it needs in the home, that you take into consideration that there might be some reduction in the price based on that. And if you're just to be a little flexible when it comes to, the needs of the buyer. We can't expect that the buyer is going to come in and have every penny that's going to need to get the home into the condition that it needs to be in for them to move in. So it might come with a seller concession. It might come in the form of a reduction in the price. It might come in the fact that you just get the work done and show proof that it was done professionally so that the buyer feels comfortable moving forward with the purchase. But it's all about being flexible. I know a lot of sellers are passionate about their homes. They love their homes. They see value in their homes that maybe others don't. Maybe the market doesn't call for.
It's been their home.
It's been their home. It's their
very
love.
Personal.
It's a very personal thing. With that, and I'm sure you love it, and I'm sure the next person will love it as well in their own way. But if something needs to be taken care of, you need to be a little flexible.
Yep, and to that end, I think that we have to remember, as sellers, we also need these buyers to be able to envision themselves making your home now their home, so that you can feel good about moving somewhere else to call home.
Yeah.
So I see a lot of maybe downsizing. Perhaps none of us have a crystal ball, but needing to add an office or a classroom. And so, again, in this process, if you're a seller or a buyer, everybody just needs to have conversation and have forethought about where you're going, because this is a really tight market. And when we look at forecasting, let's say by Zillow, everybody knows Zillow platform. I mean, we all know Zillow, don't we? And they have a lot of good forecasting. And as I understand it, in 2020, the real estate market in and around Orlando is some 5% rise in value.
Even in the middle of all this, we've been able to sustain a consistent or increasing value level in our property, and that's a good thing. Obviously for the state of Florida, we love that. It's a good thing for the sellers, and even for the buyers. Even though the prices are going up, their interest rate is still relatively low, so they can still afford more home now than they would have when the interest rates were 4.25, 4.5, 5.5, whatever. We're in the range of anywhere 3% and under at this moment. So there's a lot that the buyers can access financially to help them move into their first home. A lot of renters right now are running for the hills because their homes might be being sold out of underneath them as the owners can't afford the properties. So there's a lot of shifts and a lot of changes that people aren't aware of. And as a seller, that's another point to kind of be like, okay, well, I have buyers in the market who might be moving from rentals, so let's just get this on the market. Let's just get this done. And properties are moving relatively fast once they're on the market because of how the market is and there's not enough inventory. You're moving these homes pretty much, 3-4 weeks. We have about, I think what we said was about 30 to 55 days on the market before it goes pending and it's sold.
If you're a buyer and if you're not cash, you're looking at 30 to 45 days, really minimum, to get a loan closed on the buyer side. You've got to know where you're going, where are you moving to.
Yeah.
And again, that's what your realtor's there for. If you're selling, you're also going to be buying possibly. So, and we all want a piece of a beach around here. So, or some
Not
waterway.
during hurricane season. Not during
hurricane season. Let's wait until after November for sure. So today we really had a purpose of taking the fear factor out of purchasing and selling, and the need to have somebody with experience, i.e. a realtor. A good realtor that's trustworthy, honest, and dedicated to the wants and needs of you and your family. So is there anything else that you would like to add to today other than letting people know we'll be back with some real specific information when it comes to lenders, home inspectors?
Oh yeah, we're gonna definitely cover a lot in the next 5 episodes of this limited series podcast that we're running here. It would be ranging anything from pretty much how to buy and sell. We'll bring a lender in to discuss everything lender side. Qualifications, criteria, expectations, timelines, PMI, where to get any assistance in financing or whatnot. We're going to definitely bring an inspector in and have an inspector discuss every aspect of inspections. We're going to try and do one that focuses mostly on the appraisal and what title does and what they will provide to the buyer and how all that transaction works. So we're definitely going to have a huge breakdown on all of that coming up in the next couple episodes, which is going to be awesome.
And we're absolutely going to put the fun into real estate. This can be what feels like a cumbersome thing to do in your life, being from searching to knowing what the home has, what year it was built, poly piping, roof age. There's so much to know, and that is our purpose.
Mhm.
That is
To make it
what
less
we
scary.
want to do. Yeah, to take the fun, put fun factor in with the fear factor.
Right.
And it needs to be a good time. And boy, can we make it a good time.
We can, but more importantly, at Florida Breeze Realty, we want to make real estate a breeze.
Yes, we do. Ba-dum-bum. Thank you all for joining us. We'll be seeing you real soon. And of course, if you have any suggestions or recommendations,
Questions.
we'd love to hear from you all. Again, I'm with Caroline Cotto, and I'm Stephanie Tanner, not from Full House, but you can certainly find us on Facebook. Thank you all for joining us today.
You.